Hello everybody, and welcome to my channel. I want to talk about why apostates are so dangerous. No doubt, many of us remember how the Watchtower would portray and does portray apostates. They're individuals who are mentally diseased. They have gangrenous teachings. They use smooth words. They seek to draw followers off after themselves. They run ahead of God's organization. They're prideful. In fact, they're so dangerous that you shouldn't even listen to them or entertain any of their thoughts. But why is this? So let's take a second and just think about this. So if you listen to a mentally diseased individual telling you something, are you likely to be convinced by what they say? You can go and fact check what they tell you and determine whether or not it's true. And for the vast majority of us, that won't take very much time to prove that mentally diseased individuals are not telling you the truth. Same thing with these poisonous teachings. If teachings are bad, you should be able to fact check them pretty simply to discover that they're not going to be helpful. So, why is it such a thing that you should be afraid to listen to apostates? What's really so dangerous? Why is it so dangerous? Well, let's paint this scenario. So imagine for a minute that you're an individual that is telling a story, and you very much so want others to believe your story. The only problem is that nothing about your story is true. And there are multiple facts that can be independently verified that will prove that your story is false. So how can you tell your story and get people to believe you? Well, you have to find a way to make sure that they don't go and do fact-checking on you. They don't go and investigate for themselves. So how can you prevent people from investigating? Well, there's this one great propaganda technique called killing the messenger. So basically what you do is you assassinate the character of individuals who would be vehicles for that information to demonstrate that you're false. And you hope that by assassinating their character, that people will not listen to them and therefore will not be able to tell that you are not telling the truth. This is one technique. And in fact, this is the primary technique which is utilized by Watchtower. Let's face it, the truth does not need to hide. Talk science, for example, the theory of gravity. Anybody can go into a lab and do an experiment and prove that gravity exists. If somebody sits there and tells you that gravity is false and gives you this whole big spiel, why, you can look up the information yourself, then you can go and perform an experiment that demonstrates them false. You are not in danger of not believing in gravity because somebody tells you that it's not true. With information that is true and factual, there is no danger of being led astray by people who are telling you lies, even if they do so smoothly. Anybody that can research the information for themselves ultimately has the responsibility and hopefully the ability to tell the truth for themselves. So why is it that the Watchtower says that apostates are dangerous and you shouldn't even look at their teachings? Well, the first thing the Watchtower is doing here is they're telling their own members, Jehovah's Witnesses, that they don't have the ability to determine what is truth for themselves. So let's think about that for just a second. The Watchtower is telling Jehovah's Witnesses that they cannot determine truth for themselves. The problem with this argument is that means they actually have no way of determining that the Watchtower is teaching them the truth. What they are doing is they are entrusting the Watchtower to be truthful and to ascertain for them what is true. If you cannot determine for yourself what is true, you have no way of knowing that you are not being lied to. So, if apostate information is something that you can't investigate because the Watchtower does not tell you, or the Watchtower does not want you to look at it because the Watchtower says it's not true, that's because the Watchtower does not trust Jehovah's Witnesses to be able to tell the truth. And if they can't trust Jehovah's Witnesses to tell the truth, well, Jehovah's Witnesses have no reason for believing they have the truth. So that argument falls flat on its face. Well, maybe it's just that apostates are so persuasive and so tricky that they could fool even honest-hearted, righteous people. But let's take this argument to its logical extent. Let's say that that's true. Let's say that Satan is behind apostates and that their arguments are so good that they can fool even the honest-hearted people. when you bring that argument to its conclusion, that is basically saying that Satan is more powerful than God. So if that's true, to be honest, you're worshiping a God that is weaker than the devil. Does that really sound like the God that the Bible describes, or does it sound like a God that you want to worship? Because if God is weaker than the devil, God is not going to win. So once again, the logical extent of that argument is untenable at the very best. So again, I ask the question, why are apostates so dangerous? What does the truth have to fear? Lies are easy to spot, especially in the modern day and age when you can do plenty of research and figure out for yourself. The reason why apostates are dangerous is for the very reason that it's very simple to prove that the Watchtower is not telling you the truth. In fact, you don't even have to go beyond their own literature to demonstrate this. This is why the Watchtower endemically attempts to hide and get rid of their own old literature. If you look through their own archives, you will discover how often their teachings change and how contradictory they are. The things that I was taught by Jehovah's organization when I was 5 years old are no longer true. In fact, they have been proven false just by the mere passage of time. When somebody speaks in the name of Jehovah, something which does not come to pass, that person is a false prophet, according to Deuteronomy 18:20-22. Henceforth, they have no authority to interpret the scriptures for you. And that's why the Watchtower is afraid. That's why apostates have to be painted as evil to them. They have to make people so afraid of apostates that nobody will ever bother to investigate the actual truth, what many people refer to as the truth about the truth. It's this massive amount of fear, guilt, and shame that the Watchtower uses to lie to people, to hide the truth, and to prevent individuals from actually checking the truth for themselves. If the Watchtower was as truthful as they claim to be, they would have nothing to fear. They would be able to say, go ahead and investigate what our opposers say, what apostates say, and decide for yourself if it's true. But they can't do that because they know under true scrutiny that they'll fall flat on their face. Anyways, that's just something I wanted to say. Thanks for watching.